Nigeria's oil and gas industry is beset with well-known challenges from top to bottom, but the stakes are definitely higher when the end products fail to get to the final consumer in good enough time and in adequate quantities. This appears to be the situation that's playing out with the latest installment of fuel crisis in the country, triggered by a pronouncement on petrol subsidy by the president. The downstream subsector very much looks like holding all these aces as efforts are continuing to find an endearing solution to what has become a perennial problem of the masses in Nigeria. Well, right now we are being joined by Dr. Billy Giles-Harry, the national president of the Petroleum Products Retail Outlets Owners Association of Nigeria, to have a look at the fuel subsidy removal and how to make the downstream sector more effective and efficient in a post-deregulated era. Good to have you on the program with us this afternoon. Thank you for joining Newsday.
Thank you so very much.
Well,
good afternoon, Nigeria.
Good afternoon. The question really now is, how can this new administration that has come into power, what steps can be taken to make this downstream sector more efficient and effective so that the fuel subsidy removal is not so much of a pinch on Nigerians?
Well, first of all, it's a very hard decision to make, but it's a decision that is needed to be made. That fuel subsidy will be removed and is so pronounced by the president is a very welcome idea. The only thing, like you've said, is how do we make it work so that Nigerians will not suffer and the industry will be much more efficient for it. On our part, as petroleum product retail outlet owners, we are ready to give the best support to NNPC, to get the best support even to the federal government of Nigeria, to ensure that the distribution process, the service efficiency of bringing refined product to the end users is very efficient and is very seamless. So to that effect, we think that what the president needs to do as quickly as possible, and he has started very well. He had a consultation with the GCEO of NNPC and the governor of Central Bank. Those are very strategic values that should be addressed. One, because NNPC till now is the only importer of PMS, and we need to be sure that they are given the best shot, the best support, and given the best shot in the arm to make sure that they're efficient. And also the central bank is very critical because we've been running a dual exchange rate for the dollar. Meanwhile, all imports are all denominated in dollars. So it's also a good idea that the central bank should be called into the discussion and to be certain that whatever that is needed to make foreign exchange available, not just for NNPC, but also for us. For instance, as an association, we could come together and support the production of PMS in the country, or even to make sure that the import is efficient. And if we are also allowed to import, and we have a level playing field, and we have dollar available to us, we can make the provision of PMS very seamless, more efficient. But in the meantime, we're going to give our best to NNPC and make sure that it works. I think that's the way we're going to start.
Now, Dr. Giles-Harry, I'm wondering if it's actually fair, to remove subsidies when all refineries are not working. Will your association be taking that up with this new administration?
Yeah, certainly. We have been trying to take up this matter, but we believe that the Tinubu-led administration will take us a little bit more closer to Jordan. We, as an association, we are the receptacle. We are the most critical last mile in this industry. And we're saying we have capacity. We have capacity. And we can help in making sure that some of the refineries that are in country work with us on a PPP basis. so that we can make the refineries to work. Certainly, before subsidy is removed, we would have thought that the refinery should be up and running. But wherever we start, that's why I said that it's a very difficult and hard decision to make, but it must be made one way or the other on one day. So for us, we can run the race to quickly bring in technical partners that work with us, funding partners that work with us, and make sure that at least one of the refineries, either Warri or mostly Warri, is functionable. And that will help because we cannot just depend on Dangote Refinery. 1 liter of fuel has not come out of there up till now. But certainly we are ready to work with them, and we are already on the discussion table to make sure that the Dangote Refinery's product is also very seamlessly distributed. But other than that, I think that we should work very speedily in making sure that our refineries work.
And with these refineries, because there's been a bit of a discussion about whether or not when these refineries come on board or are brought up to speed, whether or not that will actually reduce the price of petrol. What's your thought on that?
Well, first of all, there are lots of, cost implications that need to be addressed before petroleum products, especially PMS, is landed in our retail outlets. When it's imported, there is so much cost implication. Cost of exporting the crude oil, cost of refinery and bringing it back, all the costs associated with the import charges and all of that. And also the logistics of even doing internal domestic transactions that are mostly dollarized. Some of these elements will be removed. Even if crude oil is sold to the refinery for purposes of in-country refining, there is certainly the expectation that most of these high-cost inputs that are dollar-denominated will have been eliminated. And if that is the case, the costs of refining 1 liter of product may necessarily lead to a lower pricing. But because we need to work that math, we need to discuss the technical implications therefrom, and also get a roundtable discussion with NNPC, that's the manager of our crude oil today. We cannot in any way say this is what the possible pricing will be. But like I've told you, if you remove most of these critical costs that are dollar denominated, and of course they're very high, if those costs are removed, and even if crude oil is being sold in Nigeria in a dollar denominated trade, we will still have quite a lot of advantage in our in-country refining. And that certainly will impact positively in bringing down the price of PMS.
But in the meantime,
and of course all the other products too.
But in the meantime, I'm wondering what's responsible, for this lingering fuel scarcity, especially now that all subsidy has been removed.
Well, first of all, like I've just told you from the beginning, we are owners of retail outlets. Our job is to support what NNPC brings and give the most efficient and the most cost-effective method of landing the fuel in our stations and sell them within a price that is having a human face. So right now, I don't know where there is scarcity. What you are seeing is a long line that is lining up on NNPC retail outlets. If you go to AA Rano, or you go to Jennifer and Bill, or you go to Sobaz, or you go to any other station, Rizzo Park and all of that, the product is there. You just enter, drive in, pay a price and go. Which for me is better, because don't forget, when the petroleum product was scarce, a lot of people were buying product in 10-liter jerry cans for as high as 5,000 naira a liter. And most of them were adulterated water. So what is more critical is availability of petroleum product and the fact that these regime to remove subsidy will give allowance for anybody to buy as much product as they can to be in the station to sell. So there shouldn't be scarcity. And I don't think any of my members from across the 36 states and the FCT have called in to say there's scarcity. Long lines are building up in NNPC stations because people already primarily believe that once you go to NNPC station, you buy at 185, 184, 194. So that mindset is still what is driving them there. But they could take their cars to different retail outlets, and I'm sure they'll be served speedily.
The Nigeria's Chief of Defense Staff, General Lucky Rabo, well, he spoke a couple days back, and he said that this scarcity or lack of supply or distribution, whatever you may call it, is actually a national security issue. And you're telling us it's not a supply issue, it's a supply chain issue, more with evacuation, etc. In your estimated guess, how long do you foresee that these queues will persist, or how long do you think it would take for all members to come to an agreement to alleviate some of the hardships that the downstream sector is experiencing?
Well, first of all, I just drove down here to your studio, and I hopped into a retail outlet, and I filled my car 68 liters with 30,100 naira. The whole transaction took less than 7 minutes, and I was in the studio at the right time.
That's awesome.
And I'm in Abuja. So I would like us to have informed opinion. And certainly in my position, I will know much better because we're impacted on this daily. My members are accosted. We have been called thieves. We've been called saboteurs. There is nothing that we've not been called. But when you go down and drill deep, you find out how very patriotic Petron members are across the country. So we can only give you evidenced intervention in our speech or in our presentation. We are not going to at any time just do an armchair postulation of what has happened or what will happen. But what I can tell you is that this is just beginning days. And right now, I'm aware that a lot of consultations are going on. Within us as stakeholders, we are consulting. Within the government, they're also consulting, and they're also inviting different stakeholders to be able to hear from them what exactly is needed. I believe once that roundtable is all met together, certain measures will be taken that will be able to help. The group CEO yesterday assured the world, assured Nigerians, that from what he has seen, the possibility of the product, pricing going up and down is what's going to play consistently. Sometimes it will be up, sometimes it will be down. And I support him. That is the correct position. So all the things that we need to make sure that this happens is, first of all, don't panic buy. Don't destroy your homes, because when you carry inflammable petrol into your house, chances of fire coming in to destroy your things will be there. So don't panic buy. The only thing is that there is a price differential. This price that has come in, there are quite a lot of things that, even for us as retail outlet owners, we have our challenges. Because most of us have paid for product in the last 3-4 months that we have not loaded. So what is going to happen to us now? Are we going to pay the new prices to make up? And look at the differential, it's very high. But meanwhile, our monies have been tied down based on some of the cost elements that we're having with the banks. Well, there is no amount of money you have that you will not take a loan from the bank to buy product. And it's a consistent daily affair. So that again is a challenge for us, but we will do the best we can to make sure that our activities do not in any way bring hardship to Nigerians. And that is the Petron promise, that we will work with NNPC, we will work with the Bola Tinubu Ahmed-led government, we will work with the NMDPRO, we will work with NUPRIC in all its possibilities to make sure that petroleum product is provided in our retail outlets and they are supplied to the end users.
Dr. Billy Giles-Harry, President of Petron, thank you so much for joining us on Newsday.